In this video, I'll share with you how I re-leveled this section of raised pavers in my sidewalk. In most videos you see online, they're fixing an area where it has sunk and filled in the area to make the pavers level. In this video, I'm only removing sand to make the pavers level again. The first step will be to remove the pavers in the unlevel area. You may need to get a tool like a flat-bladed screwdriver to get the first piece out. Once the first piece is removed, the remaining pieces are usually relatively easy to pull out. If you have cut pieces, you may want to take those sections out and lay them out in the pattern that you removed them from. You'll be glad you did this step when replacing the pavers, so you don't have to spend so much time trying to figure out how the puzzle fits back together. Since the whole pavers aren't unique, you can just put those in one big pile. My next step is to create a screed to remove the excess sand. Using a 1-inch board, I cut out recesses which are the same thickness as the pavers. First, I measured the maximum length that I would need the board to be. To ensure the screed covers the whole working area, cut the screed to at least 2/3 the length of the area that you will be leveling. And for coverage flexibility, you're going to want to offset one end shorter than the other end. Here, the short end on mine is 6 inches. You'll see what I mean later when I'm actually removing the sand. When using the screed, keep the shorter end toward you. Then start at one end and start to push the sand toward the center. Try to use both hands so you can put ample pressure down while scraping the sand off. At the same time, you don't want to push too hard or lean too hard on it, or you may start to bow the wood and then start removing too much sand out. Try to keep both ends of the screed in contact with the cement and the other pavers. If you'd like, you can take a paver from time to time and set it in there to make sure you're getting the right depth. As you start getting the sand to build up toward the center, move to the other end and start moving the sand in the other direction. The beauty of using this screed is with the proper pressure, you don't have to worry about the amount of sand you're taking off. Once you get a significant amount of buildup of sand that you're moving, it's time to take a shovel and remove some of it. Here I'm using a flat shovel to try to ensure that I'm not digging out too much sand. Don't worry if you remove too much, you can always add some back, but keep in mind that if you do put some back, you'll want to tamp it down to compact the soil. And after compacting, you'll have to run the screed over it again to make sure that it's at the proper level. Now that I've removed the bulk of the sand, I can now use the screed again to get the sand back to the proper level. Here you can see I put the screed on an angle to try to move the sand more to the center away from the edge. Here you can see why I cut the screed closer to one edge than the other. It provides the flexibility to flip the screed around and work on the other edge and still maintain contact on both surfaces, the cement driveway and the pavers. I found this margin trowel works excellent for removing the sand from hard to reach areas. So first I use the screed and the shovel to remove the bulk of the sand. Then I use the margin trowel to clean up the areas where the screed couldn't reach. I'll leave a link for this margin trowel in the description below. Now that all the excess sand has been removed and the sand is level, it's time to put the pavers back in place. If you find that your pavers which you removed have some significant amounts of sand stuck to the sides, you may want to take a brush and brush that excess sand off, because you don't want to have that sand falling off and falling underneath the pavers as you put them in place and making the pavers uneven. Just a quick couple brushes on each side of the paver should be sufficient. Now that all the pavers are back in place, it's time to sweep sand between the pavers. I highly recommend using some polymetric sand. Because the polymetric sand solidifies, it eliminates a lot of ongoing maintenance. First, you just pour a good quantity of the sand over top of the pavers, and then using a broom you just sweep the sand around until it fills in the crevices between the pavers. You may want to stomp around some on the pavers to help tamp down the sand into the crevices between the pavers. After you get all the crevices completely filled, it's time to sweep off all the excess sand. With the leaf blower on its lowest setting, gently blow off all the excess sand from the tops of the pavers. Care should be taken that you're not blowing too much out of the crevices. You want to do this because if you don't remove that sand and when you do the next step of wetting it, the sand that's laying on top of the bricks may solidify and discolor the bricks. After clearing the sand from the tops of all the pavers, now it's time to get it wet. The instructions on my polymetric sand say to set your nozzle to shower and then wet 200 square feet for about 30 seconds. Wait several seconds and then repeat the process for another 30 seconds. Stop watering any area if you see significant puddling. This is because if you get too much water in an area, it may start to wash away the polymer, which causes the sand to solidify. In my case, I set the nozzle to mist to help prevent puddling. Because of this, I'll have to spray it longer than the 30 seconds. And here you can see the benefits of using the polymetric sand. Because it's solidified, you don't have to worry about re-sanding each year. And here's the end result. You can see that my pavers are completely level with the driveway now. This has been a DIY Saver production. Hey, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, hit the subscribe too.